Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow members. A few weeks ago, Margaret gave a speech about her brother George. But it wasn't just about George. What came through so poignantly was the abundance of love that clearly exists in her family. I come from a very close family as well. And as I was driving away from the meeting that day, thinking about them, I suddenly burst into tears. It was just a year ago that week that my youngest sister lost her only child in a car accident. On November 8, 2007, Julie was a 19-year-old history major at UC Davis, conducting campus tours for prospective students and their families. On November 9th, she was gone. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, in her classic work on death and dying, described 5 stages of grief: their denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I and my family continue our journey through those 5 stages. Denial came immediately on hearing the news. We thought, this sounds really bad, but I'm sure she'll be okay. But as the truth settled in, I find myself thinking, there must be some mistake. Or, this is really a bad dream. I hope I wake up pretty soon. Denial manifests itself still today in our family. Thanksgiving was Julie's favorite holiday. And even though most of her cousins and many of her aunts and uncles were all together this year, Julie's name was only spoken in scattered private conversations. It was though none of us were willing to admit out loud to the whole group that Julie wasn't there. Anger has visited us in many forms. My sisters told me that she's experienced anger at Julie herself for leaving us that way. Whenever I think of Julie, I'll get a sudden flash of anger, just want to strike out and hit something. You might think that we'd be angry at the truck driver whose failure to maintain his vehicle caused the accident. Or maybe we'd be angry at her boyfriend who was driving the car that killed them both. But I felt neither of those things. I just feel anger at a world where such random and arbitrary events can claim innocent lives. My own spiritual beliefs are such that I find no comfort in such well-meaning phrases as, it's all part of God's plan. Or, she's in a better place now. Or maybe that this is terrible, but we grow from tragedy. Those kinds of comments just send me back to the anger stage. But nor do my spiritual beliefs offer me a God with whom I can bargain to get Julie back. But I'd much rather be smaller and have Julie here than to have grown from losing her that way. When I separated from my first wife many years ago, I went through a deep depression that lasted several years. And from that, I gathered a number of tools that helped me deal with the depression that came with Julie's death. But I had to watch my sister and her husband struggle to find the ability to experience happiness or joy in things that they used to love. They're doing a little better now, but I'm sure they'll be going in and out of the depression stage for the rest of their lives. Most of the time, though, we're in the acceptance stage now. But sometimes it seems like the first 4 stages were preferable because they buffered the pain that hits full force when you accept the reality of such a tragedy. I have an aunt who lost 2 sons prematurely. When I called her with the news about Julie, she said, they say that time heals all wounds, but it doesn't. I have found, though, that only by experiencing the pain and acknowledging it does it open the door to feeling the joy and the love that come from remembering the person that Julie was. She was a young woman in love for the first time. She was the little girl that I used to play practical jokes on every year at Christmas and on her birthday. And she's a beautiful person that touched the lives of hundreds of people, as experienced by the enormous turnout at her memorial service, and by the number of her friends who still post on her Facebook page. She was my baby sister's little girl, and she was a niece that I loved very dearly. Thus, my sister and all of our family continue our journey through the 5 stages of grief: feeling denial, anger, pain, and depression, but also feeling love and joy at the honor of having had Julie in our lives for the short time that we did. And so